The permission revolution. Why your story is your most valuable currency. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Michelle Jenkins, a visionary who has fundamentally transformed how we think about success, authenticity, and empowerment for Black women in professional spaces. Michelle isn't just another consultant or coach, she's a revolutionary who has dismantled toxic success narratives and rebuilt them with humanity at the center. Her work has created ripples of profound change across industries, challenging systems that were never designed for everyone to thrive. Through her groundbreaking framework, she's helping thousands of women reclaim their power, their voice, and their right to succeed without sacrificing their souls in the process. What I'm about to share with you today comes directly from the wisdom Michelle has cultivated through years of dedicated work with Black professional women. Her perspective isn't just inspiring, it's transformative. And I believe it contains a truth we all desperately need to hear. We live in a world obsessed with credentials, with certifications, with external validation. We're told repeatedly that to succeed, we need more degrees, more training, more hustle, more sacrifice. The message is clear and relentless. You are not enough as you are. But what if this fundamental assumption is wrong? What if the very thing holding you back isn't a lack of qualifications, but a lack of permission? Permission to value what you already know, permission to trust your lived experience, permission to build success on your own terms. This is the counterintuitive truth at the heart of what I learned from Michelle Jenkins. The greatest barrier to achievement for many talented professionals, particularly Black women, isn't external obstacles, but internal permission. Let me explain. We've been conditioned to believe that success requires conformity, that we must contort ourselves to fit into systems that weren't designed with us in mind, that we must sacrifice our authenticity, our well being, and sometimes even our values on the altar of achievement. But this narrative isn't just flawed, it's destructive, and the evidence is all around us. Consider Letitia Clark, founder of the Pink Parachute Diaries podcast. Letitia didn't start with a broadcasting degree or industry connections. Her journey began with rage and heartbreak, watching talented Black women being handed pink slips while mediocre colleagues, often white men, received golden parachutes. The injustice wasn't subtle, it was glaring, persistent, and deeply personal. But here's where Letitia's story takes an unexpected turn. Instead of pursuing more credentials or trying to fit herself into a broken system, she gave herself permission to create something entirely new. She looked at her anger and thought, this isn't just my story. This is happening everywhere and nobody's talking about it. With nothing but a microphone and the courage of her convictions, Letitia created a platform where authentic stories could be told, where invisible experiences could be made visible, where silence could be transformed into powerful community. I was tired of brilliant women disappearing, she told me, not just professionally, but personally. They were vanishing under the weight of systems that were never built to support them. So I refused to be silent. I chose visibility instead. The result? A wildly successful podcast that supports hundreds of listeners weekly has sparked broader conversations about workplace equity and has empowered countless women to reclaim their narratives without sacrificing their self worth. Letitia didn't need another degree. She didn't need more time. She needed permission, permission to trust that her lived experience was valuable, that her voice mattered, that her perspective was worth sharing. And this pattern repeats itself across industries and contexts. Look at the Black woman startup community, an online network specifically designed for Black female founders. These women faced classic barriers, imposter syndrome, lack of tailored mentorship, exhaustion from constant code switching in mainstream networks. But instead of focusing on what they lacked, they gave themselves permission to leverage what they already possessed. They created peer led workshops on monetizing existing skills. They developed branding strategies rooted in personal values rather than fleeting trends. They established accountability structures that honored wellness alongside revenue goals. The community began with three friends who were tired of being overlooked at startup events despite years working behind the scenes at Fortune 500 firms. During pandemic lockdowns, when traditional networking vanished overnight, they pooled their resources online. What started as mutual support transformed into a movement. Within just 12 months, dozens of members had launched successful ventures, not by acquiring more credentials, but by giving themselves permission to build businesses around their lives rather than forcing their lives to conform to someone else's business model. This is revolutionary and it challenges everything we've been taught about success. The traditional narrative tells us that achievement requires sacrifice, particularly for Black professionals, that you must choose between your well being and your ambitions, between your authentic self and your professional advancement. But this is a false dichotomy, and it's one that has caused immeasurable harm. Georgia's story illustrates this perfectly. By age 25, Georgia had lost both parents. By 31, she faced job loss and near bankruptcy. The traditional success narrative would suggest she needed to hustle harder to acquire more skills to somehow become more in order to overcome these setbacks. Instead, Georgia gave herself permission to do something radical. She began documenting her experiences publicly, not to build a brand or to position herself as an expert, but simply to process her trauma and connect with others facing similar crossroads. After losing everything I thought defined security, Georgia shared, I realized survival required reimagining possibility on my own terms. I started small, offering coaching based on what I'd learned through my grief, then expanded into digital products aligned with lessons learned firsthand. What happened next defied all conventional wisdom. Her transparency attracted sponsorships, collaborations, speaking invitations, opportunities she never anticipated. Not because she had chased external validation, but because she had given herself permission to share what was already inside her. Georgia built a loyal audience across multiple platforms. She transformed adversity into authority. She normalized vulnerability among high achieving Black professionals. And she did it all without a single new credential, just courage, clarity, and community. These stories reveal a profound truth. Your lived experience is already an asset. Your story, your voice, your values aren't just background noise, they're the foundation of sustainable success. This isn't just feel good rhetoric. It's a practical, powerful approach to achievement that honors the whole person. When you give yourself permission to build on what you already possess, rather than constantly chasing what you think you lack, something remarkable happens. You stop trying to fit into spaces that weren't designed for you and start creating spaces that reflect who you truly are. You stop exhausting yourself with endless hustle and start energizing yourself with meaningful work. You stop sacrificing your well being for achievement and start recognizing that true success includes well being. This shift in perspective is particularly vital for Black women who have historically been asked to sacrifice more, conform more, and silence themselves more in professional contexts. The message has been clear: success requires assimilation. Achievement demands that you leave parts of yourself behind. But as Michelle Jenkins has powerfully demonstrated through her work, This narrative isn't just harmful, it's simply untrue. The most sustainable, meaningful success comes not from conforming to external expectations, but from giving yourself permission to honor your lived experience, to trust your voice, and to build on the foundation of who you already are. This doesn't mean ignoring skill development or professional growth. It means approaching that growth from a place of self permission rather than self doubt. It means recognizing that your unique perspective isn't a liability to be overcome, but an asset to be leveraged. For too long, we've been told that more choices, more credentials, more hustle equals more success. But this equation ignores a crucial variable: permission. Without permission, permission to value your lived experience, to honor your well being, to trust your voice, more choices simply lead to more paralysis. More credentials lead to more imposter syndrome. More hustle leads to more burnout. But with permission, everything changes. With permission, you can build digital income streams not by chasing the latest trend, but by monetizing the expertise you already possess. With permission, you can create a business that fits your life rather than forcing your life to fit someone else's business model. With permission, you can achieve success without sacrificing your well being, your authenticity, or your values. This is the revolution that Michelle Jenkins is leading, a permission revolution that challenges us to rethink everything we thought we knew about achievement. And it's a revolution with profound implications, not just for individual success, but for collective transformation. When we give ourselves permission to value our lived experience, we create spaces where others can do the same. When we build success on our own terms, we demonstrate that alternative paths are possible. When we refuse to sacrifice our well being for achievement, we challenge systems that demand such sacrifices. This is how change happens, not all at once, but person by person, permission by permission. So I want to leave you with this challenge. What would happen if today, right here, right now, you gave yourself full permission to value what you've lived through, to monetize what only you know, to design work around your life instead of forcing your life into someone else's model? I'm not asking you to quit your job tomorrow or launch a business by next week. I'm asking you to start with one small act of permission. Share that story you've been holding back. Create that content only you can create. Have that conversation you've been avoiding, because your story isn't just valuable, it's irreplaceable. Your lived experience isn't just meaningful, it's marketable. Your voice isn't just important, it's essential. The world doesn't need more people striving for someone else's version of success. It needs more people with the courage to define success for themselves. So give yourself permission today, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, not just for you, but for all the people who will find courage in your courage, permission in your permission, possibility in your possibility. This is how we change the narrative: one story, one voice, one act of permission at a time. Thank you.